Good afternoon, I am Rob Radcliffe, the reluctant writer, and today we're going to be talking about real people. Now, I don't usually write about real people, the exception of the rule being my kids, but by all accounts they're not real people until they move out, which they're just hanging on. They just don't, it's like they don't want to leave. 10 and 8 now, and still hanging about, turning my hair grey. Grey, look at it. Yeah. Cheers, kids. Thanks for that. Some people go, oh, it's great. Oh, it's distinguished. No, it's not. Grey hair isn't distinguished. Grey hair's stress and getting old. Who wants that? No one. So anyway, I'm not going to be talking about the kids too much today. I'm going to be talking rather about the man. Recently I was flicking through the news and there was a guy on, well I say guy, he's a little boy in his grand's blouse, and he had a lot to say about nothing, a bit like me really. But he was on the news, and he was talking about how schools should teach them more about getting a mortgage and opening a bank account and saving up, as opposed to World War II, and that it frightened the precious little petals, and it isn't relevant, and they're scared at night. Oh, nasty Nazis 70 years ago. I don't know how to buy a house. So, yeah, and it got me thinking just about how a news network would let somebody like that on. And I started to think, well, it's not really his fault. It's just the world now that thinks that his opinion counts and matters when it really doesn't. It's the man, it's the nanny state we now live in that doesn't want to offend some little 20-year-old kid who thinks he's got a lot to say. So they put him on the news. It was weird. It was weird watching it. And I wrote a blog post about it. And that's kind of what this discussion today is going to be about, what I was thinking about. So let's go. Now, I was born in 1982, and my childhood during the early 80s to mid-90s was the cigarette smoke, haze splattering of eating sandwiches for tea, watching Neighbours and Home and Away, and then reluctantly Coronation Street, because Mum was going to watch Coronation Street, and we only had 5 channels, so yeah, 5 channels. Do you remember that? My brother and me, we played out on our bikes all day at the weekends, coming home only for crisps and drinks. We made dens down the local nature reserve. We played football close by on the fields. We made fires. We stole cigarettes from our folks and coughed our guts out. We trespassed around derelict mansions close to the football fields. We climbed trees. We swam in lagoons in Healy Dell. We made tree swings. We fell off tree swings. We cried, and then we laughed, and then we probably had another stolen cigarette. As we entered our teens, cheap cider and hormones were the tipple of choice. One was hard to come by, the other we received in abundance. This was before monsters and paedophiles, or rather back then pedos, dressed appropriately in a dishevelled beige anorak, dirty corduroy pants, and brown brogues for some reason. They were usually a scruffy old man who would stand and stare and smile at you a little bit too long as you rode past on your bike. Oh, those were the days when you didn't text or FaceTime friends to see if they were going to join you on the online Xbox war or Snapchat you, and you go out and knock on and see if they were playing out. And play out we did. We'd have fights that were one-on-one and be best mates an hour later. There was none of this 5-on-1 bullshit that kids seem to prefer today. Your parents wouldn't even know about these scuffles, and they certainly wouldn't be getting involved. We're going to have to call the police. This is assault, my little pumpkin. Mum, no, it's all right. It's fine. It was just a fight. As if somebody touched my baby. Oh, my word. How many were there? Just one. It was me and Mark. We had a disagreement about something. My little boy's been assaulted. No, we have to ring the police. Ridiculous. As soon as we could get away with it, we were in the pub, amazed at how we had managed to get served a pint of the cheapest, mingingest ale, dressed in our uncle's ill-fitting suit. We were as good as gold, playing a bit of pool, smoking a few cigarettes. That was before you were allowed to smoke cigarettes, before the world got offended with smoking in pubs. By the time we reached the age where we were legally allowed to drink in pubs, we were already seasoned veterans, knowing the landlord by name and claiming it was our 21st birthday instead of actually our 18th. I think in some way, this is where things went wrong with the following generations. The nanny state slowly dripped its venom into society. First, they took away the right to be out smoking pubs, which is, oh, well and good if you're a non-smoker, but they weren't the ones petitioning to get it stopped. There was no movement, no non-smoking pub rallies outside Downing Street or the White House or wherever. No, non-smokers didn't give a shit about people smoking in pubs because, come closer, people had always smoked in pubs. Just like no one ever petitioned to get the pineapple removed from Hawaiian pizzas. No one gave a shit apart from the man. The man cared because the man needs us all to be obedient little sheep. It's about control, conditioning the masses to behave like sheep. Now, before I go on, this isn't about the smoking ban. I'm merely using it as an example of the man controlling us. I could have used a number of other examples, like the banning junk food ads on TV. Johnny, come on, that's your fourth burger. But Mum, look! What? It's TV. Burger advert! Oh, alright then. Do you want a fifth burger? But I chose a smoking ban because, having worked in the pub trade for many years, I'd hear day in, day out how it killed pubs, it did, and now all you can smell is sweat and farts at the bar. The first place in Europe that the no smoking ban came into effect was Ireland. Do you think the Irish people let out a nationwide sigh of relief when one day it was legal to light up in pubs? Did the fuck? Going to the pub is a national pastime for the Irish. They have bars named after the Irish. Irish bars, keep up. Ever been to a Lithuanian bar? No, you have not. You might have been to a bar in Lithuania, but no other nation has a type of bar named after them which is so widely celebrated. Why would they ever want to stop smoking in there? The man knew that if he succeeded in this little endeavour in Ireland, then everyone else would fall into line. And he was right. You can't smoke in pubs anymore. Think of that lady that may or may not be walking 200 yards down the road. What, you mean Jan? She's got a fag in her mouth anyway. So that worked. Like sheep, we all fell into line. The landlords and landladies around the world became SS no-smoking Nazis. It's the law. It's health and safety. Yep, this is where the man next made his move. Because he's a caring man, is the man. He cares about all of us and wants to make sure we never get hurt. Health and safety is now, 20 years later, the umbrella term for anything which might be deemed even a little bit iffy. When I was a kid, during those long summer days, riding my bike around the neighbourhood, do you think I ever wore a helmet? Did I fuck? My helmet was where it belonged, right at the back of the garage, collecting dust on a shelf. No self-respecting kid would ever be caught wearing one of those. We'd rather stop in rather than caught wearing a helmet. And do you know what? None of us died. Well, some of us probably did die. I guess that was a man trying to show how caring he was to a generation of parents and kids who didn't give the flyingest of fucks. These days, if kids want to ride their bikes, there's no chance unless they're wearing shockproof body armour, chainmail, and are accompanied by an adult at all times. Because today's paedophiles are a cunning creature, and like every other undesirable in this age, they move around in packs and don't even wear the uniformed anoraks, cords and brogues anymore. See? Cunning. Health and safety ruined kids' lives, and they don't even know it. They were told, no, you can't climb that tree. Look at the sign, and vandal grease around the trunk, and barbed wire, and tree protection guard dog. Kids were informed by parents, conditioned into giving a fuck because they were too stupid to let common sense into their lives and remember what they did as kids. No, Billy, you can't swim in that lagoon in the height of summer with your mates like every other generation did. Some daft little shit who couldn't swim properly swam in another lagoon somewhere else once upon a time and drowned. And now the man cares about you all, so he's put up electric fences all around the water so this won't happen to you. Stop in and play mind-numbing games in a dark room. Summer's overrated. We learned common sense by trial and error. We climbed trees that are a bit too skinny and branches snapped. Won't be doing that again. Next time I'll search for a branch which will hold my weight. Common sense. We'd ride our bikes down the steepest hills without holding onto the handlebars and hit the curb. Flying off into a bush, scraping the fuck out of our elbows and knees and not dying. Going to have to watch out for that curb next time, or Mum would dig out the helmet and I'll have to stop in all summer with only 4 channels and no internet because it hasn't been born yet. Common sense. We didn't accept the sweets from the strange smiling old man who lived up the road and always wore brown brogues and anorak, because Anthony from the top street went to his house one time for sweets and has since been a tad reserved and cries all the time. The kids of today don't need common sense because the man makes all of our decisions for us under the caring health and safety umbrella. This has left generations growing up with no sense of wonder. Getting a top score on Call of Duty does not make you a battle-hardened veteran. It makes you weak. But I get it. It's the only chance you now get to run through a field because all the ones close to you have 6-foot-high metal railings surrounding them, and you've never climbed a tree in your life, so you wouldn't even think to use the branch that's overhanging to drop down into the promised land. When I was 13 years old, I carried a knife in my pocket, a little lock blade knife, a couple of stolen cigarettes, a box of matches, and 50p for a couple of bags of crisps. I never stabbed anyone. There were no slayings around my neighbourhood. Knives were used to throw at trees to see if you could get it to stick in and be awesome when it did. They were used for cutting branches off trees and making fires. If I was caught with a knife at 13 now, I'd be arrested and my parents rung. The world has lost its innocence because the man put up big metal railings around adventure and stopped kids being kids. My daughter's distraught if a friend blocks her on whatever shit text app she's using. I always try to be supportive when she comes to me, tears streaming down her face, and I'll try to offer a few words of comfort. Don't worry about it. She's a dick. That's the problem, because when the ever so caring man took away the kids' common sense of adventure and ability to explore anything which doesn't begin with typing into a search bar, they opened up a world of bullshit for these generations to live in. These kids obsess over shit that doesn't matter. I don't really care if your dickmate unfriended you. You do exactly the same to her, and it's so boring. Opinions on things that should matter are skew-whiffed because the likes of some Instagram fucktard have thought of a means to generate clickbait and spews out his bullshit to the masses, which then lands on TV in his grand's blouse. I don't blame fucktard. He's a product of his surroundings, of the man. What else was he ever going to do with his life? He would have spent his childhood walking the perimeter of the field, never thinking to climb over the tree and jump over the railing. His adventure was an online one, with a world of messed up, skew-whiffed opinions at his fingertips, with no common sense ever bestowed upon him to make him think, hang on, this is a bit rubbish this. I'll think it through and form my own opinion on the matter. I'll consider this for longer than it takes to tweet. I look at my kids now and remember when I was their age, sucking up mum and dad's forever cigarette haze, eating my sandwiches, watching 1/4 of the TV channels available. I think about how my kids would react to falling out of a tree, swimming in ice-cold lagoons down Healy Dell, riding a bike without a helmet, swerving the local pedo because Anthony's no fun anymore and is still crying. And I know the answer to that question is they wouldn't fare very well. I shouldn't really compare my childhood to theirs. I know mine was an analogue upbringing, whereas theirs is an all singing or dancing, digital 4K coming at you app bullshit upbringing. They take the man as a norm. They don't realise there was once an alternative. There was once an adventure to be had. Please like, subscribe and share. You've been great. I've been the Reluctant Writer. Until next time.